Plaintiffs in the case challenging Illinois' slating prohibition getting a win yesterday from a Sangamon County District Court, where in state courts it was challenged that the legislature and the governor enacted a change to election law midstream, and a judge declaring that unconstitutional. Welcome back, Bishop on Air. With you each and every weekday morning, full-time. I'm over at thecentersquare.com, where you can read all the headlines, keep you updated what's going on, including slated candidates get win after Pritzker signed election law deemed unconstitutional. So go check that story out, and we'll go through that here today. My colleague, Trina Peterson, put this together after it was announced that a Sangamon County judge made a temporary injunction permanent, and finding that the enforcement of the state's hastily enacted slating prohibition is unconstitutional for the 2024 election. So background. Last month, the Illinois General Assembly gutted and replaced a child welfare bill with changes to election law. They prohibited the slating of candidates for the November election if that candidate did not run in the March primary. Now, within 3 days of the idea surfacing, it passed both chambers, and Governor Pritzker enacted the measure. And again, just to rehear what Governor Pritzker had to say about the case after a pre-roll ad here. But Governor Pritzker essentially saying, hey, this was an ethics bill more than an election bill, because he claims he doesn't like and the Democrats, they don't like the idea of the party determining who's going to be on the primary ballot, or not on the primary, but on the general election ballot, if that person was not on the primary ballot in March. Say what you want to say about that provision, but obviously changing it in the middle of the game this year drew some concerns. So some candidates looking for ballot access in November didn't run in the primary for their district. One in particular, Leslie Collazo, she said that she didn't realize there were no Republicans running in the primary until it was too late. And then she sought to try to get slated, and she was indeed selected, and she had a June 3rd deadline to file paperwork. And when Pritzker enacted the law, she told us that she felt cheated. Others say they felt like the rug was dropped out from underneath of them. So obviously some contention here. They filed their lawsuit, and candidates suing. They did get a preliminary injunction last month, and the case was heard Monday. Sangamon County judge issued that final judgment on Wednesday, where Judge Gail Knoll said that the General Assembly could make the revision effective for next election rather than in the midst of the current election. Everyone would be then on notice in General Assembly races when there was no candidate for the nomination of the party in the primary. No candidate of that party for that office can be listed on the ballot in the general election. She further said, the revisions to state law are unconstitutional as applied to plaintiffs in the November 2024 general election because the application of the amendment to plaintiffs during the 2024 election cycle impermissibly burdens their right to vote and to have their names placed on the November ballot. So the Liberty Justice Center, they took up the case for these plaintiffs, and you have Jeffrey Schwab, who's an attorney there. He said theoretically the plaintiff's opposition could object on the basis of the law. But he said the Illinois State Board of Elections could not uphold any kind of objection based on that act, at least for the plaintiffs in the 2024 election. The judge issued a declaratory release saying that the act of preventing the plaintiffs in the 2024 election from getting on the ballot is unconstitutional, although it doesn't necessarily apply to other people other than the Illinois State Board of Elections and their members. That effectively should prevent other election boards or other government actors from using the act to deny plaintiffs access to the ballot. So again, that's Jeffrey Schwab from the Liberty Justice Center. The State Board of Elections told the Center Square last month it would uphold any court order pertaining to the enacted law. Wednesday, a spokesperson for the State Board of Elections said that the board took no position in the lawsuit, so there will be no appeal from them. Collazo, who's slating, she said that for this bill to have been passed so hastily, where those that would be affected were not made aware of the bill was in the works, I feel just lacks transparency that we need in our state government. I want to bring transparency and hold those accountable. if we have the power and authority to hold the legislature and even our governor accountable, why not? So Collazo, again, just one of several candidates filing to be slated. And there's deadline for slating was Monday. Then you get Wednesday, this ruling from the Sangamon County Court saying you can't apply this law to the candidates in the 2024 election. You can apply it next year in the next election, but not in this election. And this is just for state house seats, not for seats in Congress. So wanted to get you guys that update as well. A lot of questions about how this bill came together. And if you recall, it essentially took a child welfare bill, gutted it, replaced it with the election code change saying you can't slate candidates if they didn't run in the March primary. Then you had the lawsuit, and here we go with a final order. So go check that story out at thecentersquare.com. All right, it is Bishop on Air. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join me each and every weekday morning breaking down things you need to know to keep you going. And hopefully it's a quick, digestible way for you to get some news out of Illinois and how you're being impacted. All right? So, the slating case, fascinating, because more than half of the state house seats that were up for grabs in the March primary, the party was already determined. So this ruling yesterday is really going to lead to actually more choice for people across the state, especially in Chicago, where you could very well see Republicans on the ballot in districts all across Chicago. Fascinating. All right, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell.